It is a pleasure to be here once again with you in Paris to celebrate All for Regime Change, All for Freedom. The last time that we met 1 year ago in these halls in Paris, there had been an election in Iran and Hassan Rouhani had been elected president, something that was greeted with great optimism in the West, that was heralded in the newspapers, that was greeted by many Western governments as some sign that there was going to be a new Iran. Well, we have not seen a new Iran. We have not seen any moderation from the Rouhani regime. Instead, what we have seen is increased crackdowns, public executions, and more persecution. We are now faced with the prospect, as the various governments are negotiating and a July 20th deadline is looming in terms of nuclear negotiations. But I will tell you that no matter what happens in those negotiations, no matter what piece of paper is or is not produced at the end of that time, we will not see anything in terms of more freedom for Iran and peace and stability in the Middle East, and indeed the future of peace in the world, unless there is regime change in Iran. Unfortunately, it has also been one more year that we have seen the deterioration of things on the ground for those 2,400 brave people who are in fact kept in what is nothing more than a prison camp in Iraq, namely Camp Liberty. And if things were bad 1 year ago in Camp Liberty, today they are in fact worse. We have seen more brutal attacks, and since the last time we met, we have seen 52 brave persons executed at the hands of those allied with the Maliki government and at the direction of those in Iran. We have seen the kidnapping of individuals whose fate we still do not know. We have also seen in the last few weeks a terrible deterioration of conditions on the ground in Iraq generally, but more specifically at Camp Liberty. On June 12th, UNAMI left, despite its directions to be there to oversee the protection of those residents. On June 15th, we saw the UNHCR and UNAMI both having vacated the premises of Liberty, and they have not yet returned. We have also seen that for the last 10 days, Iraqi forces who were supposedly on the outskirts of Camp Liberty to protect the residents turned their machine guns not against those who would attack Camp Liberty, but against the residents of Camp Liberty. We have seen the western T-walls of the camp, officers of the Ashraf Suppression Committee who are there, in fact, to begin an attack when they see the most opportune time on the residents of Camp Liberty. We have also seen, at the request of the Iranian regime, that they have a plan in place that if, in fact, there is movement on the ground towards Baghdad, that those who are in Camp Liberty will, in fact, be slaughtered. At the same time, the regime is making the absolutely absurd allegation that the residents of Camp Liberty are building tunnels underneath in order to escape and to join the forces of those that are attacking the Iraqi government. This is an outrage, this is a lie, this is a fabrication, and it is a fabrication that is in fact being put forth in order to justify an attack on those residents. Finally, the concrete bunkers that have been purchased that were there to protect those residents of Camp Liberty are not in fact in place. There are 17,500 T-walls that have been sent there that are piled up outside the police station in Camp Liberty. Only 4%, 750 of those, have actually been put into place. So we are gathered at a very important time here in Paris, and we are going to have a very, very full schedule of speakers. I am going to be joined in a moment. You will hear from Frances Townsend, who was the National Homeland Security Advisor to President George W. Bush. And later in the program, we will have speakers from delegations from all over the world that will be introduced to you. But I do want to mention one thing that will be at the conclusion, because I think it is important for you to know that at the conclusion of this event, we are going to be hearing a videotape presentation by some very important persons from around the world, including John McCain, United States Senator, senior member of the United States Senate, and Republican nominee. You are also going to be brought a message by the chairman of the United States Armed Services Committee, Senator Carl Levin. You are going to be brought a message by the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Senator Robert Menendez. Also the chairman of the House Foreign Relations Committee, Congressman Ed Royce. You are going to hear from the former Vice President of Iraq, Tariq al-Hashimi. Thank you very much. And now I will introduce Frances Townsend.